here we are with Jesse Day. Hi, Jesse. How you doing?
Hello, James. Doing splendidly.
Okay, great. So, Jesse, I'm gonna start off by talking about how great you are at Scrabble. So, did I get any of these right? The first one I'm very confident with. You are the current national champion.
Well, there's an asterisk on that one.
Yeah, but anagram of asterisk is Sarkiest. I do know that. It's pretty high probability. Bingo.
Guy knows his stuff.
Yeah. So, you are the Collins International Word List National Champion of currently. You beat Austin Shin in a playoff. It was 2-1, 2 games to 1.
2-0, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Sorry to Austin. 2-0. You were the runner-up at the WESPA, which is the World Scrabble Championship, the last one in Goa in 2019. Is that correct?
That's correct. It has a different name, but it's not interesting enough to actually correct.
Okay. It's not called WESPA.
Westpac. It's the WESPA Championship.
Okay, I didn't realize
And
that.
we're really spending time on the stuff that matters, which are the acronyms of the different Scrabble organizations.
Right, spelling not my strong point. So you were runner-up to Nigel Richards, so no shame. This is going to be a theme.
Afraid so.
You were the runner-up to Nigel at the Mattel World Scrabble Championship in also 2019?
No, that was in 2018.
Okay. Have you been runner-up in one or two Mattels? I thought it was two.
Mattel, yeah.
Okay.
I honestly don't even bother to think about it.
Okay, it's not important.
Championship and not World Championship. I finished twice. I finished second in the World Championship 2 years in a row.
Right.
One of those years there were two World Championships, only one of which I attended.
Okay, yeah.
Just leave it at that.
How about last bit of trivia? How about King's Cup?
Yeah, I got to go to King's Cup, which is one of the biggest international tournaments. It's held in Bangkok every year. It's sort of a Scrabbler's Mecca kind of destination. Scrabble's huge in Thailand, and when you go there, there are tens of thousands of Thai school children all playing games, Scrabble and other Scrabble-like games. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I came second and lost to Nigel Richards in the final there. So
was that a playoff situation?
Yes.
So you did actually finish top of the standings after the regular round, and then you lost in the playoff. Is that right?
That's correct. I won one of the 3 games in the final.
Right. So I do remember some things. Okay. So other tournaments that you've been to include the biggest tournaments like Alchemist and Causeway in Malaysia. Represented Team USA. You did.
That's right.
Now the game we're going to go through right now is against David Eldar, former world champion of Scrabble. And which tournament was this? I've got it on the screen, but I can't remember.
Can't remember. A likely story.
It was
nice segue there.
Alchemist. It was the Alchemist.
It was the Alchemist Cup, aforementioned.
Yeah.
So for viewers who aren't familiar with the Alchemist Cup, it's the most prestigious tournament in the world in the years that it's held. It's a 10-team invitational, 5 people per team from 10 different countries, and you play all 45 people who are not on your team over the course of 5 days. So it is the most grueling, the highest level competition that there is, even tougher than the World Championship, in my opinion.
It's just hard just to get on the team. Never mind once you get there, it's really hard. Yeah,
exactly.
So this Alchemist Cup, this is midway through, right? It's like round 15.
That's right.
Have you played it? I presume you've played David many times before, right?
Yes, I have a pretty bad track record against him.
Right.
I think I've beaten him 2 or 3 times out of 10-ish.
Right. Yeah.
So you can give me the intro if you want, but this is a really important game for me because this happened about a month and a half after I finished second at the World Championships.
Right.
And David Eldar, I think at the time, and probably still now, was the acknowledged second best player in the world after Nigel Richards. And, I saw 2018 as my sort of my year to come out on the world scene, and so this game was extremely important to me in terms of it was also a broadcast live, so this was kind of my chance to show the world that the second place at Worlds wasn't a fluke, and to show that I could hold my own with the second best player in the world. So it was a very important game for me.
Yeah, let's see if you can do that. So, shall we get into the game?
Well, if we must.
Yeah, let's do it. So the first rack, I've already put QI on the board, so that seems like a reasonable play. So you're to go first for USA.
That's right.
And you have QI and then GEEST, and there's nothing worth talking about on this rack, right? This is the most common opening play in Scrabble.
When you see the QI and 5 other letters on the opener, very often you don't waste any time. You just slap it down as fast as you can.
Exactly.
Getting to your seconds.
So that's what you did.
I was going to say, it's worth noting that David Eldar is from Australia, which is an anagram of USA.
It is an anagram of USA, yeah.
And Australia ended up winning the team match by 1 game, literally by a single game. So potentially the outcome of this game determined who won the championship.
Oh, okay. Well, no spoilers. So David's rack. David has FEGILPY. So do you remember what he played?
No. I kind of remember.
He played GIF or GIF. I've never said GIF. It's GIF to me.
Unfortunately, that's not what the word means. It's some awful British archaism as opposed to the thing that we share with our friends on social media.
Oh, well, that's good, Jesse, that you even are willing to actually learn what these words mean.
Yeah, it's actually, I think more so than most players, it helps them stick. So I know what a lot of the words mean.
Do you know what we can try and do right now? Is actually, I've not done this before, but let's look it up. I can try and use Ziziva to look things up. So let me try and do that.
No.
Here we go. See if it works. There we go. So folks on the screen should see it. GIF.
Awful British neologism.
Says a type of computer image.
Oh, I wouldn't have put an S on it. Well, I'm exposing my ignorance to the world. So.
Well, no, you're probably right. It changes from time to time.
Once upon a time, that word did not take an S, and it was very confusing.
Right. That's once upon a time in American Scrabble, but not once upon a time in World Scrabble, or both?
No, it's a relatively recent addition to the dictionary.
Right.
So the dictionary is constantly evolving, and there are updates every 4 or 5 years, and GIFs or GIFs is one of those recent additions, I believe. Either that or I'm completely wrong, which happens all the time. So.
I don't remember. I mean, the one thing to note about this game is that this game was played with the previous word list. So there are some words that are available now, like ZE, that you couldn't have played, but I don't think any of them loom large in this game at all. Okay,
I'm sure the chess players out there are shaking their head at the impurity of our game.
Yeah,
but it's part of the fun of it also.
Yeah, the goalposts do shift. Okay, so yeah, GIF, whatever it is, comes down. And then you have EEGNSTV. So 2 E's, GNSTV. And you may remember what you played. You played Vent. Feels like that's pretty standard play to me.
Yeah, so the way this game started was pretty compact. And at the beginning of a game, you don't want to give your opponent too many early openings. And so GIF kept things tight, and then Vent also makes it somewhat hard for David to score easily.
Right.
Although obviously Vent takes an E in front.
Yeah, so that's the clear thing that I'm noticing here too, is it's not that closed because it has the most common vowel can go in front of it, but you hold that, so But
for instance, if I play event on this turn, then I'm opening access to the triple word score, which is a lot of free points for David. So I'm playing vent, which is a bit cagier.
Yeah, and you hold the E, I guess. So
sure,
that's good. Right. Well, David does have 2 E's, but he also has 2 P's, L, R, Y. Now, when I literally zoomed through this game before we started talking. I was quite interested in this move. It's the first move with something of interest. Now, he plays Perp.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
It took about 4 minutes to make this move.
Oh, really? I have watched this live. I just haven't watched it recently. I watched it when it was live. I haven't watched it recently, so I'm not aware of how long. So it's interesting that this move stuck in your head. Do you have thoughts on what he played, given what he has?
Well, I would have played Yelp for sure.
Right.
I think the idea behind Perp is also as kind of a defensive option.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Y below the triple word score is easier for me to use than the P.
Definitely, yeah.
And I also think that David thinks that the LY combo is pretty strong. Something I know that sounds absurdly specific, but
yeah.
I mean, all the top players basically follow each other's games and commentary on games, and so I think he thought that was a nice combo. I would have played Yelp without too many second thoughts.
Yeah.
But he tanked for quite a long time on that move, and then came up with Perp.
Yeah, I mean, there are other options too. I think when I ran it through Quackle for what that is worth, actually I'm just looking at it now. Actually, yeah, that does quite well, as does Reply. Why do you like Yelp over these longer words? Just because the PER leave is quite powerful or fairly good?
I think EPR is the most powerful combo there.
Yeah.
It's possible. You probably need to run usually about 500 iterations or so before you really see the candidates stretched out. You have to. EPR is definitely the strongest lead, and then I would think about balancing that with defense. So Pervy is not too much worse of a lead, and also harder for me to score in response to. So I'm not surprised that Pervy dominates the center.
Yeah, well, I found it interesting that David liked the LEY leave too. That was interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have AEGOOST. So what to do here? You played Gur, this is a really for 9 points, which is a super interesting play. I mean, there's not a lot of good options.
Also a mistake, a small mistake.
Tell me why it's a mistake before I can actually work out why it's a mistake.
There's no reason not to play for 2 more points at the bottom at 10D. It would score 11, or maybe at 4F.
Yeah.
I think I was actually thrown off by a Perp in terms of. I was trying to imagine what he had when he spent 4 minutes thinking about it, and I think I believe that Gore was a little more defensive, but in hindsight, I have a pretty good lead, and I should be making it easier to bingo, so probably just go is fine.
Yeah, what are you going to hit with if you hit your bingo? I guess you have to hook an S on Perp or Gift.
Yeah, I think my thought at the time was that, well, I have this really good lead, and so I don't need to open, I'll still be able to bingo. Right. But Perp doesn't really suggest anything that special, so probably playing more openly would have been fine.
And at least Goo sets up another lane on row 3, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to gift him a bingo that wouldn't have gone anywhere else, but I think I overthought this one. But I also wasted valuable time on this move, which
really? How?
Wound up costing me.
Okay, well, David draws another L to go with his Y plus NNO, so he has ELLNNOY. And he ended up playing Nylon, which, not Levy or Levy, Nylon, which is there. I guess I have Levy highlighted because that is 12 more points than Nylon, but leaves a horrendous leave of LNNO. You got any favorite from these two players?
I think it's possible that David missed Levy here. If I remember a discussion after the game, this would be a tough one. I would probably err on the side of I would probably play Nylon here. Just the awfulness of Levy to LNNO. That just seems cripplingly bad Although you could then maybe play on row 10 and clean it up after levy. So
because you have the N for chin or kin or whatever. How
exactly, you can play like an ON.
Yeah,
you can just play ON. There's already 21 points. So you can play whatever you want in front of there. So
yeah,
I think probably you have to take the points there for 12 extra points.
Yeah. When he plays nylon. Okay, so you now have a really difficult rack, but you have to find the right word to play. So
that's right.
Arceist, presumably because it's a double, but were there other doubles? I don't think so.
No,
There's
only one.
Yeah, this is the only one, so you found it, which is great.
Yeah, that was huge because I was able to score like almost 100 points without opening the board at all. I felt like I was probably gonna win after this. Yeah,
95 points. So this puts you up 156 to 76. So you're up by 80. David with EELNOXY. So he has the X.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes up with Oxy for his move. And I think that's a pretty straightforward play, isn't it?
I'm not sure I agree with that.
No, well, you feel free to disagree because you know more than I do. I mean, Levy's still there as an option, leaving the X, right? Is that what you're thinking?
You'd have to consider it, yeah. You can play Levy and keep the X, and the question, it's at a 5-point sacrifice, and the question is just whether you can score enough with the X next turn to justify holding on to it. I think EELN is really nothing to write home about. But the X also doesn't have a great home on this board. You could play lax and something across. So I'm probably okay with Oxy here, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if I throw something out there random, if you play Levy and you've got ENOX, you're 2 tiles away from X-Aura, down from the I.
Right, or X-Tool also.
Or X-Tool, yeah, that's another one, yeah. Is it worth playing Levy for a 2-tile, Hail Mary there?
No, I don't think so. If I were 1 tile off, I think it would probably become worth it.
Yeah, but there's no real other X. I mean, Lax is the only spot, really, so...
Exactly. Like the X, the Z, the value is often situational. It kind of depends where you're going to slot it next turn.
Oxeye being another option, but then that doesn't look good at all.
You really need the E's in there to soften the LN disharmony.
Yeah. Took me a long time to realize that L and N don't like each other. I don't know why I didn't work it out sooner.
Yeah, they're dreadful.
Yeah. Okay, so Oxy does play, and then you have Footed, but another E as well. So Footed and E. Now you play Fated, but I've put Feod down there, which is not what you played because I was looking at that earlier. This C12 spot seems to be the other place that Quackle likes to play. You played Fetid, which is by far the most points.
Right. I could not figure out a way to play at C12 in a way that was defensive enough. Every play that I made there opened up huge comebacks for.
So these are all the players.
David. Yep.
Yeah, even sticking the D in the triple line, you just don't like that.
No, and row 14 is pretty bad also.
Yeah.
For that matter, like if I put a Mal there, that's just
for this to this,
setting him up for a high scoring play. Yeah.
Yeah. So Fated, leaving 2 O's. There's only 2 other O's unseen though, so it's not like you're drawing into 6 other O's or something.
This also just isn't it's a very defensive board, so keeping a great lead is the reason the reason we call it a great lead is because there's a high chance of bingoing, but here DEET isn't going to score that much next turn. So
yeah, the context of the lead is important, right? So you've really got that to an N or N in second last place, or the G or the O, and maybe an S past perp. That's pretty much it, which isn't I guess to the Y as well, right? To the Y of nylon.
Can't forget that one.
Yeah. None of which are super premium. I mean, an O's okay, but yeah. Okay, so it's hard to bingo on this board apparently. So David's next rack is the blank EEGLNS, and he bingos on the board. And he has quite a few options, but that seems to be the most defensive, and it scores the most points.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, just to show some other options, gasoline, which is a no for that one, and globes, telegens, tele. Is that a new word in CSW 18?
Yes, it is.
Look
That would not have been available at the time of this game.
No, not at the time of the game. Look, I actually have some knowledge of words there. That's not bad. Eugenals, negligees, etc. But leasing is clearly the right word. Okay, so moving on. You have AHIMOO2. OO2? OOT.
Oxygen?
Yeah. You play Ogham, which is a nice word. And
do know what Ogham means. It's a nice one.
You don't know what it means, that one?
Oh, no, I know what it means.
Oh, yeah, I know what that...
I'm just trying to expose you to your viewership.
No, oh, right, yeah, no, I think I know what that one means. It's to do with old language style, right? Writing.
That's right.
Let's have a look.
It's a runic alphabet of some kind.
Yeah. 6th century Irish writing alphabet, also Ogham without the H, yeah. And then there's all sorts
David Sutton, shout out for the beautiful definitions.
That's good, yeah, we need to... In the links I put, I think I do reference it. There's our extensions of Ogham, Oghamic, Oghamist.
So it's a beautiful dictionary.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good play, right? You're not interested in playing things like this in the M1 spot?
I mean, I definitely thought about ooh here.
This one?
Yes. It was kind of a hard... I think 9 points is just too much to pass up here.
This is 24 versus 33 for this.
Right. And as far as the board shape goes, David's just brought it level and he just bingoed, so he has a random rack. Mm-hmm. So I'm not especially afraid right at this point in the game to open the board up.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah. That seems pretty reasonable to me. He has got a random rack. He's got UULLAOT. Now this is the when you sent me this game, I hadn't really recognized any of the plays up to this play. He did not play luau, or however you say that word, or he did not play ulu, or in several places. Or Alu, he played this, and it felt like he took a long time to play this word, if I remember correctly, because it was a long time since I watched it. Do you remember if this was? What's going through your head, I guess, when you see him play this? Other than, well, you tell me.
Yeah, this is the kind of move that separates the best players in the world from everyone else.
Because there's no way I would have played this word. So I want to know why he played it.
So he played this tactically. So he's down by 32 points, and he has a terrible rack, right? So he's trailing in the game. He's probably about he's probably about 25% to win here, 25%, maybe 30. So he knows he's an underdog, and he's stacking the odds in his favor by creating the tools to get back into the game. What I mean by that is that he's setting up the S. So at this point in the game, if I'm not mistaken, there were 2 S's left.
There's no blanks, and there are 2 S's, yeah.
Right. So he's turning over 5 tiles. So he's really angling for an S. And the thing is that before this play, even if he gets lucky and draws an S, it has no value because there's nowhere to play it on the board. But he is sort of changing the rules of the game here, where all of a sudden it turns into a race for the S,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever gets one first is going to have a serious advantage.
So what you're saying there is like he's maybe at 25%, whatever that number is, and you're suggesting that by playing something like this, he's turning it more to like a 50% or a 45%.
It's closer to a coin flip.
Yeah.
Now, I have a bit of a head start. I might have one of the S's already. And even if he draws an S, there's no guarantee that he scores in a high scoring way with it. But before this move, there's no obvious way for him to re-enter the game. And
yeah.
If he plays Luau, let's say, just as an arbitrary move, he probably wouldn't play it there. Maybe he plays it at 4E. I'm just going to block column N, and the game is going to be largely over. He's going to spend the rest of the game having to try to bingo to an N or to a G, really scrounging. Whereas neutral gives him a legitimate way of getting back in the game. So it was a world-class move.
Right. So if I'm allowed to play devil's advocate briefly, if I might have in my head sometimes, why don't I play something crazy down here? You know, it's about the same number of points as mutual. And I'm setting up another bingo lane down here. It's not a high scoring one. And I'm leaving this A and M open as potential floaters.
Yep.
Do you think that is substantially worse than playing mutual and just setting up a race for an S?
I'm sure that the thought crossed David's head.
Right.
I think row 13 is it does fork the board. Right. So that is the downside of mutual, is that there's going to be some fraction of games where David blocks bingos on the right side for himself.
Yeah.
Or I already have an S and I can immediately profit. But I think he just thought that Luau or that mutual led to a sharper position than Luau. I think Luau gives back a lot of free points on an otherwise dead board.
Yeah.
14D is not really a scary place to bingo. Like if he does bingo there,
it's not. Yeah.
It's going to be for 65-ish points. It's going to give back the triple word score.
Yeah.
So mutual is just a sharper position, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are we using the term sharp in Scrabble now? It's that's entered the because I'm used to hearing sharp in chess, but
I mean, our lexicon is pretty,
I like it. I like it.
That's how I think about it. So
yeah, I think that's a good phrase. Because we're doing today in this video, we're doing word definitions. I'm interested in what on earth this word is.
Oh, it's a Hawaiian word.
Okay, now I know.
You've never been to a luau? It's where there's like
gonna surprise you.
Hula dancers and
I'm gonna see. Yeah, surprisingly, not that big in North England.
Oh, really? I thought they did luau's in Newcastle.
Yeah, maybe there. Yeah. Okay, so he plays mutual. That's great play, and you do have an S. You have with a B, a K, an A, an I, and O and a T. So let's see what you played. You did not take the mutual hook. You didn't play that. You played that knobs.
That's right.
It
looks like a terrible error in hindsight, doesn't it?
I don't know is the answer. I think it scores a lot of points. Something I didn't say on the last move was if David plays this, I just feel he's dead to any play like a huge like Z play from here, like zoners or something here.
But you can't be thinking that way because he's a 3-1 underdog, right?
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, you can think about the downsides a bit, but there are many scenarios in which he loses, many of which don't involve anything fancy.
Yeah. So in looking at this sharp position again, do you like Batix, or do you think that just sets up a crazy bingo lane on the bottom?
Yeah, I thought about this move for quite a while, and this was a really hard tactical game. We were both getting quite low on time by the end.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had more time than David going into the pre-end game. I ultimately decided that the 48 points from Knobs was too much to pass up because if I play that, I go up by 71 points, and then any bingo that he gets on row 14, I should be able to get a response to on the bottom row.
Yeah.
And so I felt that after Knobs, I was going to stay a tempo ahead, even if he does bingo the next turn. And I couldn't figure out a way to play on row 14 that was defensive enough. But Teeks just really gives him a lot of free points. Right, like as it stands, row 14 is only available to him if he has the last S, whereas after Batiks, anything goes there. So,
right.
Yeah, it was kind of, I still felt that I was in good shape.
So you're a bingo ahead, and there's literally only one tile that can really hurt you with mutual with the S.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Knobs over, I mean, that's not a candidate, is it? And these are, I guess that was the only other one I was looking at earlier as a candidate, but it scores 12 fewer points.
I don't think I saw that over the board. That's an interesting move. And I think when I analyzed this at the time, that's the one that stood out as maybe what I should have done instead. Yeah, I'm going to have to find a way to block in a future turn. And the thing is that row 14 plays are often going to give row 15 back. So I don't know how valuable the S really is to me.
Yeah.
I think Knobs is the way to go.
It's 12 more points. You're whatever you are ahead now. Let's have a look what you are ahead. You're 71 ahead. And he has a bingo E rack on his turn, but he's got double R and a U in it. So he ends up not being able to play. That's again, I often put these moves I was thinking about, but he plays hour, leaving LERS. This is only for 10 points. There really isn't anything that scores any points unless he's willing to just basically give up and score 25 points like this, which is not a play. So he plays up there. Anything else stick out to you? I was wondering about this, but like, what can you really hook that with?
Well, you can hook an R in front of that. Rup.
Oh yeah, Rup. Yeah, you can put the R there. Yeah. Yeah,
the question there is whether, so hour is definitely the move because the pool is quite val heavy. There are lots of A's and I's left, so he wanted to play off that O instead of just playing UR. And the O isn't that great with that rack anyway. I think he just wanted to go for the points. I mean, it's pretty bold to block the G.
Yeah.
But he is gambling that I'm not going to find a way to block row 14.
Yeah.
Basically. It's kind of a one-turn thing where the more... it's probably only going to stay open one more turn, so it's a bit of a gamble, but it makes sense.
Okay, so plays hour. And then you have a very tricky rack, Jesse. You've got IIIAMRT. And you don't play a trip. All these plays that I'm looking at that you don't play. You play Retina, which is actually, I think I simmed this one, and I think this one actually simmed highest, if I remember correctly. I can't imagine that this was an insta play. I don't think you would have just thrown this down. It feels like you would have had to think about this a while.
Yeah, this play was in agony, for sure. It was a matter of 2-3 minutes. I'm obviously looking first and foremost at a way of trying to block the mutuals hook, if at all possible. And I could play Iftar, but that just opens up another lane. And at the end of the day, it was just a matter of scrounging enough points while just trying to keep ahead. And it's not a dream lead, but it's good enough. And exchanging is not really much use at this point because nothing really in the bag that I want that much. So
Right.
Yeah, Reno was probably one of my best plays of the tournament, I thought.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think I remember you talking, or maybe in your annotation, you said you like this play. There's never a world in which you play Tramp for 36 and keep 3 eyes.
Oh, I certainly considered it.
Yeah.
It just seems to lay the foundation for my destruction.
Yeah. I mean, you go up by 100.
Go up by 100, but then the 3-eye rack is probably going to require an exchange. He could bingo on row 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seems like asking for trouble.
Yeah. Okay, so type play of Retina, and he's got a nice rack. So he now does get his bingo down. He finds Verlands or Verlands. I mean, and that's just worst case scenario, isn't it? Well, I mean, I guess there could have been higher scoring bingos in that place, but the V coming down there is pretty brutal.
Oh, it hurt real bad for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you can't do much about that. He plays it, and then you still have 3 eyes on your next rack. I-U-E-M-R. So again, this does not feel like a play you would have played instantaneously. Do you remember how much time you had on your clock at this point?
Yeah, David started to really push the pace here.
Right.
So I think I'd run down my clock quite a bit after Retina. I suspect I had about 4 or 5 minutes left. David
Right.
probably had 6 or 7 at this point.
And he's 1 point ahead in the game.
Yeah, I kind of liked the ending of this game just because it's a good. It's a nice sort of. It's amazing how the rules of this game can change quickly. Where something that it obviously looks best on one turn, like very quickly, like what you're trying to do changes drastically. Like I'm not trying to keep a good lead for the rest of the game. It's sort of a race to cover all the scoring spots so that he can't claim them. Like I'm playing there in large part because the Z is unseen, and he could get Zal or Zell.
Yeah.
So it's really just like that's all it was. It's kind of a race.
Yeah. So you're not thinking of exchanging here to try and get the Z. You're just saying, well, he's just drawn 7. He could have, drawn the Z. I mean, I guess there's a J unseen too, although nothing plays there with the J. But yeah, try and just kill that spot.
That's the idea.
Now this actually does get very interesting because you play that, and David has 7 vowels.
Yeah.
And he decides, like, this is not a straightforward decision, I don't believe. You have to decide how many of these are you going to exchange, and he decides to keep E and an O. There's no O's to come. But
yeah, it's an awesome move.
Feels it doesn't feel instinctive, but it does seem to be the correct play, doesn't it?
I think so. If you look at the vowels left, there's 14 consonants and 7 vowels before the exchange. So yeah, I think keeping 2 vowels makes a ton of sense here. As far as why he didn't keep an A instead of an O,
right? Because an A and an O both go with the Z and the J, right? And this is before ZE was a word. So if you're looking to try and score with those tiles, you need an A or an O probably.
Yeah, that one is harder for me to say. I think maybe just the risk of duplication in part.
Yeah.
And another really big lurking play here is the possibility of Zaya at N6 making Retin-A. And I think we were both aware of that as a real dangerous spot. Conceivably, you could even play EA as a setup for the Z. Yeah,
play the E there, and then you've got like this or something. Yeah,
exactly. The only tile left that went there was the T. So I think we were both aware of that. So you definitely want to keep the E there.
Okay, so he is going to keep E and an O, and then you are also in a world of hurt. You've got EEIIU BR. And then you also exchange keeping ER. I'm not really I mean, again, exchanges late in the game are quite hard, I find. You know, early in the game it's pretty easy to work out what the leave should be, but late in the game it can be quite tricky.
Exactly. It's completely dependent on the board conditions.
Actually, interestingly, the only actual playing a word that comes up is a word that Austin missed in the game that we went through in one of his videos, which is Bori. What was your reasoning for ER then? After he's just exchanged 5.
I just ran out of options.
It does seem
I really wanted to keep the M for H1 on the previous turn because I thought there was a good chance of drawing a rump word.
Here?
So I kind of paid the price for playing mill where maybe I should have just exchanged on the previous turn and kept the M. I thought about it, or kept RUM.
Right.
And then, nothing was easy from this point onwards. I don't think keeping ER is particularly correct.
Right.
Like it would be a standard exchange earlier in the game, but I think if given another chance, I would probably play Bori here.
Okay.
I think the points are worth it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
there's a theme.
Yeah.
People missing Bori.
Yeah. Well, I actually said to Austin at the time, I said, I think there's another game where somebody missed that, but I wasn't thinking of this game. Some other game. Okay, so David does pull the J, and he plays Gene, and he hits that retinized spot that you were just talking about. He's got other scoring tiles in the W, but this is his highest scoring play on the board. Pretty much seems to be the play to play, isn't it?
Must be played.
Yeah, okay. Moving forward, you just do not draw well to your exchange. You draw 3 of the A's, and you've got DDER. So tell me about how did you come up with dead here? Again, for what it's worth, Quackle likes it, but why do you like it?
It's the same thing as the Brent I played before. Points are at a premium, very few opportunities, and the exact leave is really less relevant. In fact, AAR is not a bad leave at all for column out. All of a sudden, now that the J is there, I could play a word down from 01 to 06, hooking the J.
Trying to find a word ending in an A down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the most likely thing, but you know.
I see. Zoaria is what I was about to say. Yeah.
Codea. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I'm obviously not in great shape, and
I'll show people.
I think probably Bori would have put me in better shape for the game, but at least have a chance.
Yeah. You play dead, and the score is only David is 4 points behind. He's got a pretty standardy rack here with just a W and for scoring with ADEIOT. And I think this is a great play. Presumably you also agree. I mean...
Oh, tremendous. World class.
I'd like to think I could see it, but I mean, if I have that as a 7 on my rack, I see it instantaneously. But I guess it's having the ability to see it past that K to the Y, right?
And he played it very fast, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a given that it would work out this way. He wasn't super likely to have a play like Tideway, but he identified it right away once he showed up.
Yeah, that's a nice play. All right, so we're really close to the end here. You have AACEHIR. You are trailing by 38 points. And there is 1 in the bag, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 1 in the bag. This was a super interesting play. You just play Aka. Or how do you say that?
AKA.
AKA. Yeah, I have a weird mnemonic for what goes in front of that.
Is it profane? Are you allowed to
Not
mention that
really,
video?
not really. It's culinary, but I know that it's an H, a T, a W, and a K that can go in front of AKA, and I know that you've got the H, but you do not have the W. So I was interested in why you played it.
It's a game-losing move, actually.
You think?
Ran out of time to find something better, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think David knew it. I think as soon as he saw it, he knew he was good. The problem is that he can just block with he's going to have the W in all of the end games except for when it's in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is in the bag, then it doesn't help me. So, the only way I can win after Aka is if David just misses the hook, which more likely with a lesser player. But I mean, the idea of ACE HIR is normally like a real powerhouse leave. But actually, the tiles I would need to bingo with aren't really in the bag for this. So it's not really justified. But I just played it because I ran out of options.
Yeah, I don't know if you've looked at it in great detail, but like this is for 39. It gets you up by 1. Is there an end game where you can win with something like this? Did you ever look at that?
I did. I quackled all my games from this tournament pretty extensively. I think cheap would have won if I draw the Z,
right?
Because I have a lot of outs: Zari, Rizza.
Let me look for your. Let me see your outs fast. Where did you say Rizza? Where's that going to play?
Rizza and Ja.
Oh, Riz and Ja. Where? Oh, because you're keeping RIA, right? My bad. Right, I'm not thinking.
And I think the seed also could draw Korea in a couple spots, but then he has the Z, and I think he's gonna score too much.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's tough. But he does not have the W. It's you actually get both hooks to Aka. You've got the H and the W. He's got the Z though, and this was an interesting play. He played Biotic, not Biz. That was the one that I was looking at. I don't even see his in the Quackle option, so I'm going to have to re-enter it. What did he play? He played 4A Biotic, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is this just trying to block your highest scoring plays to Aka, or what's the reasoning? Am I missing it?
I think Biotic is just very safe.
Right.
I think that after I'm trying to...
Quackle loves it. It sets up Cuz as well, right? CUZ with his leave, so...
Yeah, you don't use Simulate at the end of the game, though.
I know,
you have to use Ask Championship Player.
I haven't got the time to do Ask Championship Player, but you're right.
That's the only option at the end of the game.
we can try and do an Ask Championship Player. I'll try and... let me see if I can get this up on the board.
The sim doesn't actually work.
No, I know, but I know you're a... You like
a stickler.
You're a stickler for it. Let me see if I can get this to work. I'm now asking Championship Player. Hopefully.
Oh my god! What kind of computer are you using?
I have to wind it up. Oh. Here we
go.
Is
this like a Pentium, like Windows ME? All right, that should be nicer to you. It is a Windows, I see.
I'm gonna pass because I don't know. Biz, most favorite. But this looks like garbage. This output from Championship Player.
It just missed Biotic because it's a non-standard play.
Yeah.
That is weird. You should consider getting your computer checked after this whole coronavirus mess is over.
Yeah, noted.
Tell a doctor for.
This is maybe why I'm not as good at Scrabble, because I'm using inefficient training methods.
I'm actually concerned on your behalf.
Good. I'm glad. You can send me the official Quackle. Okay, you played he played Biotic. End of.
I had about 10 seconds left here. So I saw he has Cuz out. Yeah. I think it actually gets kind of. He took advantage of the fact that I didn't have a lot of time. I think it actually gets kind of interesting. He has Zin and Za at the bottom left. But Cuz is enough to outrun. He has Zin and Za if I block Cuz.
Oh, okay.
So easy. Yeah.
Okay. Where's he going to play Zin and Za?
12 and...
Oh, you said bottom left. That's why I was looking in the left. Bottom right.
I must have said bottom right.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Anyway, you ran out of time. You played Chew. You do have these if you manage to find it.
It's a little bit of a disappointment, right? I mean, I'm sure this big epic game, it would have been nice to push him a little bit harder, but
There was just
he
so
had
many,
already done enough at this point.
There were so many plays that required so much thinking, though.
It was a really great game.
In the middle, I think it's after that mutual play. I think it really got quite tactical, which is really cool to see. And it was impressive. I mean, you played very well. He also played very well and managed to come out on top. And I really that mutual play was very interesting to me. That was probably I think the most interesting play of the whole game. And there was several other interesting ones.
Yeah, I think at the end of this game, I was happy with what I'd shown.
Yeah, good. Well, it was a good game. I think we should wrap it up, but you'll be back to talk about more games. So thanks for your input on this one, Jesse. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thanks for letting me blab away about Scrabble. One of my favorite things to do. I won't talk about my other favorite things here.
No, this is we just do Scrabble. Okay.
Crosswords. Cryptic crosswords.
I like cryptic crosswords, and there's many other puzzles too, but
I like cryptic crosswords, and I cannot lie.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, my mom is more into this. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Signing off.
Yeah, signing off. All right. Cheers, Jesse.